Oh crap. Give me 1 minute here and then we'll start. Oh, cool. Never noticed that notification for this start. Okay. I had completely forgotten I wanted to wash the car later today and hadn't washed all the microfiber towels and stuff, so got that going. Alright. Now, so I was working on this last night and decided to wait to do the stream. I was going to do it last night, but I'm doing it now. Because, last night I just couldn't really concentrate at all. I was too tired, and also, I wanted to get it to a point where we'd actually have it working somewhat. So, I've gotten to that point now. So what happens is that it will the plugin will now let you open up the bank. It will allow you to deposit some gold, and it will allow you to then close the bank and then store that information and be able to reaccess it. Now, to illustrate the time passing interest creation bearing whatever feature, I've set the time difference to this static value. I actually had to go into the into the debugger and like plug in a bunch of different values into this formula to try and get something that would produce an hour difference. I got this. This is a 3 hour, basically equates to a 3 hour difference. So every time we open up the plugin after we have, well, it won't have any effect if there's no balance, but once there is a balance, once we open it, it's basically processing 3 hours worth of interest every time we open it. So I guess I'll just go ahead and start it and show you where we're at so far. I actually modified a resource. Well, I'll show you in a second. So we have our help window. We have a new window over here that stores. Not stores. It'll show different things. It'll show your current gold, the interest rate for the bank, and the balance at the current bank that you're at. And there will also be some other ones. So it'll have a listing for bonds and one for stocks, and I'll just tell you how many you own. I won't show you the information for those because how those are going to work is that they'll be their own objects inside of the bank object. So when we go to buy or sell bonds and stocks, it'll have like a window selection list. It's kind of like in the class changer, how you have the class list that you can then select through. It'll be like that for stocks and bonds as well, because it'll have an end to the whatever number of items to choose from. So we're going to just close out because I want to get some more gold in here. Right now, this will add 5,000. This will only remove 10, and this will add 1, and this will remove 10. Now, if these look familiar to you, it's because they should. These are actually the shop, and you go into a shop and you're buying something. These are those buttons. I actually took the file these are in and modified where they're placed at so that we could do it this way. And I'll show you that in a bit. So we're just going to add 5,000 for now. Go ahead and hit that to say that we accept. So now we have half our gold stored in this bank. We're going to go ahead and exit. I'm just going to open up this. So we have 5,000 gold. So now when we go back here, we're now going to have 6,500 and 10,000 because every time you open this, I'm giving you 5,000 gold in the test here. But as you see now, the balance has gone up 1,500 because 3 hours have passed. So that's the 10% interest rate over 3 hours for 5,000. And as you go in and out, this will start creeping up further because you're getting more of a balance, more of a balance, more of a balance. And it just compiles interest very quickly. Of course, I'll need to first I'll need to make sure that we don't have the decimal sticking out here, and then I'll also have to extend this out a bit to handle all the numeral places. Right now, the most you can deposit is 9,999,999,999,000 gold. 999 gold. But you'll be able to see more than that. But I don't know. That'd be like a hell of a lot of grinding to get that much gold. Though I suppose if you had a high enough interest rate for enough time, you could get that. As you can see, just after what would this be? 6. Let's see. We opened it up. So actually, it would be 40. So it would be 8. So 8 times, 24 hours. This is basically one day worth of interest gained from 5,000 starting gold. So you would get almost 5 times the gold over a day with the 10% interest per hour. Now, obviously, it's not going to be per hour in the final plugin. There'll be an option you can choose to either be an option, or it'll just be like it'll be either the formula or an option that will set the formula so that it'll be per day, per hour, per whatever unit of time you want to use. So what we're going to do now is we're going to actually do the opposite. Now we're going to do the withdrawal. And we're going to create that from scratch. So I'll just leave this open so we can. Well, will I need to? Well, I'll show you the. Let me show you this. Where is it? It's underneath Tools, Resource Manager. So System Button Set. So yeah, it's a button set. This is what you see when you're buying items and things at the shop. Basically, what I did is I just pulled this out and I set it up so that the up arrows were first and the down arrows were second, with this one being before that one. So that when I went through and lined up the images through the code, they would line up correctly. So that this could be placed over that, and same with that. So it'd be a little bit more compact than this stupidness. Alright, so what we need to do is literally starting from scratch here. So we need to create a new constructor here. Function window withdrawal. This dot initialize dot supply this arguments. Alright, then we need to let me check something really quick here. I think this is. Oh no, that works now. Good. Okay. Or wait, that was the right click. I want to do the. Yeah, that still doesn't work. I'm not sure why that doesn't work for that cancel. Let's go and restart. I'm thinking about just getting rid of that cancel option because for whatever reason. Oh, I know why. It's capital C cancel instead of lowercase c cancel. That is why. Oh, and also this. Because we need to add it here, actually. Else if... Well, it's kind of not what we want, but... I wonder if we could actually throw an event manually through code. What is... Oh, that's the wrong one. Because we actually need to close it, or do we need to... No, it's closed, okay. This is going to be cancel. I mean, let's look at that. That's an interesting question. How do we... RPGMaker MB... send event through code. Send cancel event, let's see. Okay, let's just say, cancel through code. So actually, yeah, okay, fire command through code. Fire command through code. Okay, that's not fire cancel command. Come on, somebody's got to have asked this before. Can't believe nobody's asked something similar to this before. Maybe it can't be done then. Alright, fine, we'll just do it this way then. Scene manager dot pop. Alright, that should actually, I just thought of that right now. I was like, oh wait, that's not actually using the, yeah, there we go, okay, good. Okay, it works, good. I just like, all of a sudden I was like, oh wait a second, that thing is using this comm list and we gotta do weird things with that, so. That's fixed now. So we added the constructor up here. We need to then create the window and the scene for the window. So, really what we're just going to do is we're just going to take the deposit and basically reverse everything in terms of what it actually does. So I'm just going to copy the, and it's going to be the exact same thing. So we're just going to, if I could find the damn thing, there it is. Just going to take this, we're going to copy it and rename it to create withdrawal window. I'll spell the whole thing out. There's no way to properly shorten withdrawal, I don't think. So instead of depot window, it's going to be withdrawal window. So withdrawal window. Then we need to basically just replace all of that. Bank action selected. Where else do we need to add something? Bank details. We need to change these to withdraw OK and withdraw cancel. Oh, I need to add in the code for this. This dot depot window dot hide. This dot depot window dot deactivate. This dot act pane dot show. This act pane dot activate. And I'm not sure if I have to do a select as well, but I'm going to in this case. We don't need to refresh the bank details window because we didn't change anything in it, so that's fine. Then I just need to take this and copy them down and change it to withdraw OK and withdraw cancel. Alright, update bank, get withdraw window, get bank. Okay, now what else do we need? I think that's it. So now we just need to take the whole window deposit section and change everything around. So window deposit, I basically recreated the window numbers. So for example, I went too far, there we go. If we go over here to Windows, shop numbers rather. Window shop number. So this is the window that in shops that will display that whole image and all that stuff that you select the number of items to buy. That's what this does. So I just basically recreated it instead of creating an instance of this. I just recreated it with the parts that I needed because I didn't need all this stuff. I didn't need the multiplication thing. I didn't need the total price stuff. I didn't need a lot of this. Didn't need the cursor. Didn't need the just didn't need a lot of this. So I did not base it off of that. Now we just need to change this to window withdrawal. withdrawal. And then window withdraw. And everything else should be exactly the same. All we need to do is reverse a few things. So, specifically, we need to change the direction that we are modifying the bank's deposit value, and we also need to modify what we're looking at to restrict the amount that you can actually add to the number output before it turns red and doesn't allow you to do anything. So what we need to do now is say, so right now what this is doing is looking at the party's gold and looking what's the new deposit, which is the amount of money you want to deposit into the bank. And then it says if it's less than that, in other words, if we don't have enough gold to deposit that much, then we play the cancel sound, and then we redraw the the gold value with a red text color to show that you don't have enough gold for that, or that there's something, whatever it is, there's something that's preventing you from doing so, which normally would mean, in this case, since you're only depositing gold, that you don't have enough gold. Else we're just setting the balance of the bank to the new deposit plus what's there already, and then taking that gold out of the game party and then processing the OK. In this case, we want to go the opposite direction. So we want to look at the new deposit. Well, this will be called new withdrawal. I guess we should change some of the things. So deposit should be withdrawal. New. So depot gold should be the same, but new withdrawal. So new withdrawal. And I think that's the only thing we really have to change. Everything else should be fine. Blah 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 blah. Buttons, naming stuff. Width. New depot should be new withdrawal. Alright, process gold, change gold, this needs to change. So, last gold is the current deposit. Amount equals, so amount plus new withdrawal equals new withdrawal. So if depot gold minus, not plus this time, minus new withdrawal is not equal to last gold, then we need to update the gold amount that's shown. Next, so if new withdrawal is greater than, so we need to use game banks. Actually, no, we don't. Oh, no, we don't. We just use this underscore bnk dot balance, I think, yeah. So if balance is less than withdrawal, then don't allow. Else, game banks dot set balance bank ID this minus depot. So this will be new withdrawal. And then party gain gold. I think it's called gain gold. Yeah, gain gold. New withdrawal. I'm saying withdrawal instead of withdrawal. Okay, so I think literally that's probably all we have to do. Barring anything I missed changing, which we'll probably find out when we try to run it. This should. Alright, so first things first, we're going to do that a few times. We're going to deposit 10,000. And we're gonna wait a few hours. Let's say, that's about 8 hours. I think that was 24 hours, so that was about 8 times. Now on to withdrawal. Yeah, withdrawal. Doesn't even work. Okay, what do we got? So no errors. Oh, I don't. Did we not? I didn't want to close it. Oh well. We'll reopen it. Did we not set up? I thought the commands. We might notice with the commands. Blah 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 blah. Nope, too far. No, what? Okay, where the crap is it? Wow. Oh, here, yeah. Duh. Kept on missing it. Whoa. Didn't want to do that. Okay, there. Yeah, we didn't add in. No wonder. Yep. Alright. This act pane dot get selected action equals withdraw. Then this dot create withdraw window, and then call that. I guess I could have, yeah, just copy this down and then change the variable name there. Alright. So now that should allow us to see. Okay. And we got a problem somewhere. Unexpected token. Unexpected token. What line? 287. 287. Else action. What's unexpected? Oh, else if. My good old friend, the unexpected token. Okay. Now deposit 10,000. Leave. Do this 3 times. Yeah, cannot bind the property. Got all kinds of interesting things. Withdraw. Okay. Withdraw. Cancel. Withdraw. Okay. Withdraw, cancel. Withdraw, cancel, withdraw, okay. Oh, okay, so withdraw with WITHDRAW. WITHDRAW, okay. Okay. It's like, what's with that? It's kind of strange. That's the same name, or same whatever, but it didn't connect it. Wow. That's kind of very strange. I was actually tested to make sure it actually works first, and then we can. Alright, so I'm going to take out 5. Yes, it doesn't work. Good. So it says red because why? The So because the instance of right, we need to update bank. That's why bank currently at this point in time bank still has nothing in it because bank is a not really an instance, but it's, I guess, a reference to basically storing. It's a variable object storing the bank details from when we first opened the plugin, opened the event, but it didn't get updated, so it still has the previous values in it. So whenever we do an update bank, we need to then reset the value of bank to the new one. I gotta figure out where those are happening at. Okay, so on deposit, okay. There. Then set bank equals game banks. Actually, no, we don't need to do that. We just need to say this underscore depot wind dot get bank. And that will update it. And we'll do the same thing down here. Let's change it to withdrawal wind. Okay. So deposits, leave a few in there. Withdraw. No, it still doesn't like it. Okay. So on withdrawal, okay. Withdraw, okay. Alright. So if bank balance is less than new withdrawal, do that. If it's greater than, then process this. So what we're saying is that the balance is still less than what's there because of why? It's a good question. Very good question. Oh, because we're updating game banks. We're not updating. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. So what we need to do is, I'm just going to comment this out. So we need to say this underscore BNK balance equals this. I'm going to do the same thing, just with the minus on the withdrawal. So what's going on is that we are updating the bank in the game banks, but then we are not updating the well, wait, then, because when we exit it, that's kind of strange. Technically it shouldn't be working if this is what is really the problem. So maybe this isn't really the problem, but we'll see. One stage at a time. Look for the most reasonable reasons for why it doesn't work, and then look for the more crazy, probably real reasons why it doesn't work. Alright, so that should work. At least, well, work in the sense that it shouldn't give me an error when I try to do something. Okay. Now if I go to withdraw, and I'm going to withdraw a couple. Nope, okay, that wasn't the reason. Though it's probably better to do it that way. So, let's go ahead and go to, we gotta do some debugging then. Figure out what's going on. Alright, so sources, JS, plugins, and Bank.js. And then we need to go down to withdrawal. To our withdrawal conditions down here. There, and also, well, there should be fine. Okay. Well, that's awesome. It's not actually doing anything. So when we click on this button, let me, okay, see, on button OK.bind. That's button 4, which is fine because that's button 5, which is one that should be. The other ones do work too. Bind it on button OK. Set click handler on button OK. Yeah, so we're basically just binding this function to that particular event. Window withdrawal.prototype on button OK equals function. But we're not hitting this if condition, which is kind of interesting. We're not hitting... It's not... If it ends up hitting this, I'm going to be just like mind blown because that shouldn't happen, not this one. This one. Holy crap. It is hitting the window deposit instead of the withdrawal. That is bloody insano. Let's see. What the hell? Why is it using... I have no freaking clue at this point. Okay, so we're hitting a button that's tied to a thing down here. This should be referenced to this window, not to the deposit window. And we're saying on button OK, bind to this. And this is this button, which should be in window withdrawal, not tied to something on a different window altogether. Maybe because they have the same name, but there's other things that are named the same that have no problem with them. At least I would hope so. Like, let me see. Let's go to the gold change thing, where it's draw gold. No, it's all time. Wow. Is it? What? Oh, wait. Did I not? Maybe this... Did I not set up the create correctly? It might be creating a gold window, a deposit window instead of a withdrawal window. Where the... No, with the scenes. Sure, up here. Where is the window deposit create withdrawal? Ah, no, it is. Ah, blah. Okay. Now this should work. Now it should work correctly. Okay. So deposit. Okay. Withdraw. Good, we're in the withdrawal window now. Perfect. Okay, that's interesting though. There's actually nothing being drawn. Because why? Because withdrawal window to this. So what is, well, first let's see what bank is. Bank's an object, it's not null, so that's fine. So what is this underscore gold, depot gold, I guess. Okay, so that's the, well, it should be called balance, not gold. We don't even need to use that actually, we can just pull it from the bank. I'm not sure why I'm doing it that way. Maybe I'll change it later. Okay, so go back to withdrawal. I want to figure out why this new withdrawal is not defined. Didn't I define it up here somewhere? Oh, Jesus Christ, typos. I called it withdrawal instead of withdrawal again. Okay. And yay, we have nans. Having nans is awesome. It's proof that you have really cracked something up. Okay, deposit. I'll take that much out, that's fine. I don't care about you, go away. Now I go to withdraw. Don't care about you because this shouldn't be a problem now. Go. Alright, there we go. Now, if I say withdraw 5001, that should throw a red thing at me. Good. If I drop it down to say 4,990. Yes, that worked, but now we have nan on the balance. Crap. Why do we have nan on the balance? Because we subtracted the gold, the higher value from the lower value, which becomes a negative, which becomes a nan. Once again, proving what I just said. When you get a nan, you know you successfully fracked things up. Not only that, but it should be new withdrawal, not new depot. I almost did width again. Yeah, because I copied this down from the other place. I didn't change that. Alright, alright, so now I'm not, well, maybe with bonds. Maybe we'll do bonds next. But we won't do stocks. Stocks is, during this stream, stocks is going to be interesting. Give me a second, I need to go pull that crap out of the washer. Yeah, stocks is going to require building a whole economic thing there. Building up, Alright, so, let's test this thing and see. Make sure it's working. It should be working overall. But we need to do a test with actual built up interest. Just to make sure. So, alright, so we have our that. Go to deposits. 10,000. Alright, so let's go ahead and withdraw 20,000. So when this works, we should have 28,000 whatever left over for the balance, and we should have 60,000 for the current gold. Awesome. Works. Perfect. Okay, so now next what we're going to do is, well, first we're going to reorder the command list here for a second, because I want to put sell bonds after buy bond. So put that there, just because it looks better that way. And just saying, I don't know if you heard while I was walking away, stocks are going to be way more complicated, because what's going to have to happen is it's gonna be like the frigging Yanfly Quest plugin, where you're gonna have this huge thing where you can put in a bunch of companies that you then basically give the company name. You put in the starting stock price, and then I'll have to code into the game somehow on a per tick basis, based on some random conditions and things, whether or not that stocks values can go up or down, and then also added maybe some event-based things that might, like in the game, say let's say that I make like this thing where it's like a bulletin board or something that in every city you can go to that has this like random stuff on it and including other things. So like it has like random news and kind of like if you ever played X2 The Threat. I think it's called The Threat. If you ever played that and you go into a station, they have that like news screen that just has random crap on it. It's kind of gonna be like that, where it's gonna have like things that'll say like maybe war breaks out between whatever, and then maybe when that happens, certain companies' stocks, they'll say like there'll be a thing for the name, the price, stock price, starting stock price, and also then what they do. So like you might have a company that makes potions and things like that, or you might have a company that produces weapons. So that company that makes weapons, if a war breaks out, would have their stock price increase because more weapons are being sold. And then if you had stocks in that, if you had shares in that stock for that company, then you would be able to sell them and get more money back than what you put in for it. Basically, that's what that's all about. But that's going to be for, like I said, later on, because it's going to take some doing. So we can't do the whole awesome just copy things over for this one, because for this we're going to have to do it's going to be completely different. Well, not completely different, but it will be different. And we need to also add in the stuff for bonds. So what we need to do is we need to see. We need to go to. Well, first we need to create a new. We need to create a new class. That's actually game banks class. Holds all bank information for the plugin. Then we're going to create a new one. So call it bank bond. Is that what I called it? How did I? Yeah, I just said so bank bonds. Actually, we did do a little bit of more formatting-ish kind of stuff here. So stores all of the bonds for a particular bank. Okay. So we need to create the constructor function, bank bonds, and then the initializer. This dot initialize dot apply this arguments. Set up the properties. So again, like with this, the only property is going to be a thing called bonds. It's going to be set up pretty much the same way as this is actually. So let me just grab all this and we'll just modify what we need and remove what we don't. Be easier than copying everything out again, typing everything out again. I do need to change this to. We need those, so this will be bank bonds. Similarly to this, we do one for bank stocks. Okay. Now, we don't, well, update, let's see, update bond. No, we won't need to update the bond. We won't need to we'll need to get the bond, but we won't need to update it because it's going to be a certain amount that you paid for the bond, and then a certain amount of time will have to pass before you can essentially sell it back to the bank and cash out a certain percentage on it. So it's going to be called bonds, not James Bonds, and then bonds configurable true. Initiate members, add bank, we add bond. So all we need is the bond ID, the bond value, mature value, I guess we'll call it mature value. Well, no, we'll say value, and then now we'll do mature value, and then what we'll do is then bond mature time. So the time it'll take for it to mature. So this dot bonds, underscore bonds. Let's go ahead and just copy this down. So bond ID. I'll just copy this over 3 of these. Actually, we only need 2, don't we? Sure. So, mature value. Yeah, that's mature value. I'll call it matured. And then, and then mature time. So mature time will be an int that will represent a number of hours that it takes for the thing to mature, and matured value will be the value that you get when you sell it back. So init members, bonds. And we just need 2 of these. Because the way we're doing it is we're passing through we're just getting the bank and then getting it through the, this here instead of calling back to this. So I think that's what we'll just do with these as well. We'll just need to get just one of those. We'll need to do, we won't need to do a check if the bond exists because we're not looking up a bond that way, but we will need to use get bond to be able to get the bond. How can we remove? That's interesting. Cause now, in this case, we will be able to remove them. So, how do we remove from a Java? It's not just remove or pop maybe or something. JavaScript remove. Splice. No, I think that slices it into another thing. Or no. Changes the contents of an array by removing existing elements or adding new elements. So, splice, start, delete count. So, index. So, index equals array dot index of, so, So, oh yeah, I never thought of that before. If you want to deal with, so I guess in JavaScript doesn't really give a flying crap if you alter an array in real time while you're going through it, but I suppose if you could do that, it would be better to go from the back to the forward because that way you don't run into the out of bounds issue. Like they're saying here, because if you go from 0 forward, you remove an element. Now your conditions for when the loop ends are invalid because not invalid, but they're not correct anymore, because now the I is less than or equal to is no longer going to be what it should be. So I don't think that value updates every time you go through it. It just goes the first time you go through it. When you enter in the loop, it processes the conditions in there, and any equations or anything that are pulling values and functions and whatnot. So that's an interesting idea. Makes sense to me. All right, so we can use splice though. I thought splice, because well, when you think of splicing something, you're cutting it in half, and then like sticking other pieces together or something, like splicing a cable. But I guess the people that did the JavaScript wrote JavaScript, thought splice, let's use splice. That makes perfect sense for removing something and not putting it anywhere else. Okay, so get bond. So yeah, we need to create one for removing it too then. So bank bonds dot prototype dot remove bond. All right, so for there I1 is equal to, and I believe it's dot length in JavaScript. Yeah. So this dot underscore bonds dot length. I1 is greater than or equal to 0. I1 plus no, minus. So now if this dot underscore bonds or wait, do we need, maybe we can do, no, yeah, I guess we can do index of. If we do index of, but would that work for, yeah, maybe it should, I guess. Let's just try that first, let's see if that works. So var bond index equals so I guess it would be this dot underscore bonds dot index of hopefully that would work. And then this dot underscore bonds dot splice. And then let's go find that previous one. Was this array the index of, then index 1. Yeah. So then bond IDX and 1. All right, so set m value. So matured value equals m value. And set mature time okay. So let's underscore bonds. All right, so we create the bank bond using add bond, pass through the bond ID, the m value, the mature value, and the mature time, matured value and mature time. if the bond doesn't already exist. If it does, we're just ignoring it. But if it doesn't, then we're setting up an array element containing an empty object, and then we are inserting into that object some keys and some values. Then we're initializing the members, which is initializing bonds to a so I think that is actually, because it should be, yeah, no, this should be this should be this, I think, right? Banks is a list, not an object. So this should also, I'll test it with it like that real quick here. Hopefully this doesn't need any other, no, looks like it's working. Okay. And yay, maybe it's not working. What do we got? Unexpected token, illegal. I've introduced an illegal token. We need to deport them. 163. What is this illegal token? Oh, it's a backslash. Alright, backslash has been deported. And there we go. Okay, so deposits. Let's do 7. Yep, that works good. So as you can see, even if you deposit just 7 gold, after about 8 hours, or 24 hours, that's, you know, it becomes 74. That's actually, I think, closer to 10, because obviously increasing it at a rate of 10 per time would eventually get up to 70 if you go through here 10 times. So that'd be like 30 hours. So almost a day and a half. Draw. So we can withdraw and have more than we started with. Yep. Perfect. That works either way. Good. Question is about saving, though. It's going to be an issue when saving. That's a whole nother wicket of stickiness to deal with. Okay, so now that we have that, let's create our scene for bonds. So, put it at the bottom, I guess. Scene bank dot prototype dot create bond window equals function. All right. So for bonds, it's going to be more similar to the active window or the action pane. So what we're going to do with that then is we'll keep some of the creation for that we'll use, and some we won't. All right. So the width, let's up that to say 175, and for heights, let's give it 360. Same placement though. So change this to from act pane to underscore bond window. Yeah, let's keep that there too as well. So new action pane becomes new bond window. New window bond, I guess. And then we need to pass through the bank, so there's that. So scene bank dot prototype dot create or dot bond. Okay. Equals function. Alright, so then basically we just need to do what we do with the other things, which is just to update the bank first of all. So game banks dot update bank bank ID, and then this dot underscore bond window dot get bank, and then also bank equals this dot underscore. I think eventually well, no, we need to do the update. Well, we don't need to update the game banks all until after we decide to leave. So maybe I'll change that so that we are updating just the bank instance, and then reference, whatever we want to call it, and then when we go to leave, we update the game banks, update bank. We do that when we're going to leave, and then use the bank for that. For now, though, we'll leave it like this. It won't be that hard to change it, so. Equals this dot bond window dot get bank. Next, we need to then this underscore bond window dot hide this dot underscore bond window dot deactivate this dot underscore act pane dot show this dot underscore act pane dot activate, and this dot underscore act pane dot select, and then this dot underscore bank details window dot refresh. Okay. And then we need to do the same thing for the cancel, except we don't need to do the updating on cancel. And again, we could probably break these out into its own functions so that we don't have to duplicate that code all the time. That'll be something that I'll do for cleanup once I'm ready to release the plugin. The in development. Well, when I get ready to like release it, not as as completed, but as just like the development version here. So that's done. Next, we need to create the an action pane, draw else if action pane, so buy bond. Equals buy bond. This dot creates bond window, and then this dot action pane hide. We'll just copy this over. Change this to underscore bond window. Except we have an extra M in there we need to get rid of. Okay. Now, we need to create the actual stuff for this. So, actually we can use a lot of the action pane probably. To be honest with you. The one that'll be different will be when we're going to sell them. That'll be completely, have to do that customized. Now we could use some of this stuff for this action pane, but we'll have to like populate the list of commands based on the actual bonds that we have to sell or something like that. So gold up, draw. Here we go. All right. So action pane becomes bond window. Okay, with this, and then we also have to pass through the bank, so we'll grab that. Update help. Get help text. Select an action. Get selected action. Max calls. Max items. Actually, I might need all of those, to be honest with you. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to change what's in this list. So instead of having all this, we will have the cancel still. What we're going to have now is a list of bonds that can be bought. So we'll just create a bunch. We'll say basic bond 10. Basic bond 20. 30. 40. So the number on those corresponds to the number of hours it will take for it to mature. Let's also go ahead and do the descriptions while we're doing this so we don't lose track of what's what. Okay, so a basic bond which will mature in 10 hours. So we do need actually, we actually will need another window. This is going to be interesting. So let me really quick go up into here. And so we've got this window here. We've got this space here. So we need to make something that's similar to this in size to this, but moved over and maybe a little less wide. Or maybe we can shrink this upward and then put something underneath it. Because what I want to do is, we're not going to be able to fit all this text up here, I don't think. Well, maybe we can. We'll see. Let's see. If we can't, then we'll have to figure out something, because this doesn't do multi-lines. If it goes past the end of the screen, it'll just cut it off. It's very annoying. In 10 hours, I'll say gains 12% interest on maturation. So it's basically similar to that for all of them. 12% seems kind of high. Well, no, it should be more than what the well, that's interesting to think about, because the bank's interest rate can vary based on what you're passing into it. So maybe we add in the ability to, so maybe we create a plugin parameter that says custom bonds, and then you can pass through custom bond interests, and then you can pass through the interest rate that you want to have for each bond through a plugin command. So, like, for example, you say bank add deposit, or bank add bond, the bank ID, the bond name, the maturation time in hours, and then the interest rate. And then we bring that in and parse it all out and then pass it into a function that will store that information for the bank, or for this, that will then process it that way. That'll be much later on. For now, we'll just go with this basic one that has basically everything's the same for every bank for now. So this one's a 20-hour. 12 interest will be still 12. 30 and 40. And you know, we should really probably should be able to define them this way. Might actually be much easier to handle. Yeah. Much easier. longer descriptions. Alright, so that goes down there somewhere. Alright, so we got our bonds here, basic bonds. So now we're going to do, what does CD stand for? No clue. Let's see. CD40, for example. Certificate of deposit, okay. So CD 18 CD 25 CD 50 and then a CD 100. And again, there'll also be plugin options to say whether it's hours, minutes, whatever, and that'll affect all this stuff. Like what's being, it's like, so if it's gonna be minutes, it'll say 10 minutes instead of hours, etc. Once all that's been implemented. So, certificate of deposit, which will mature in 18 hours. Gains 18% interest on maturation. So 18, 25, 50, 100. Need to modify this to 30 and 40. 18, 25, 50, and 100. Let's also break these down by type as well, just to help keep things a little more sorted here. So, super CDs. So 18 hours, gains 25% interest. So 18, 24, 36. Okay. So those would be our options. So now, set selected action. So process OK. That'll be from a different thing though. So maybe what we'll do is whenever we select, selected process OK. What about when we change where the cursor's at? What function? Let me see. This is window selectable. So I'm thinking about doing is that whenever you change where, of course, whenever you click on something, that's also considered an OK. Okay, so alright, so I guess what we'll need to do is maybe we'll need 2 more windows. So we'll need a window to show you the cost for the bond that you're buying, and then the matured cost of it after it's been matured, as well as the number of hours that it'll take to mature, as well as then maybe a window, or maybe somehow putting into a horizontal command window that information plus the commands to say okay or not. But I don't think that. Let me see, horizontal command window. Well, command window. So window command doesn't have like a text, draw text thing in here. That's draw item. But I don't see a draw text, though it's that's choice list. We want the window command prototype. The actual window command, here we go, which is a window selectable. So it technically should have the ability to display information in it, other than what your options are to select. Theoretically. Maybe we'll try to make something. So I guess we're going to need another window here that'll be for displaying bond information. So, where did we add that? Oh, we haven't actually created that up here yet. Whoops. Arguments. Function window. So buy bond details. Okay. So this one, there's only going to be two other options here, so we can really shrink that down a bit. Looking for bank details window. Window height. Graphics, window height. So minus 145 would so if we're taking off, so that would be decreasing this. So I want to increase this maybe to 215. Okay. So on the creation here, the placement of it's going to be based on, so WinX is going to be based on list underscore bank details window dot height minus, rather plus, not the x, no, not the x, not the x, not the x. I'm thinking about the y. Location it is in the window. And I'm on the wrong one anyway. We're not talking about the bond window. We're talking about the next one, which is the details. Const win h. So the height is going to be, oh, let's do width first. So the width is going to be Well, let's see. If we're going to do this to have 3 options and then have a horizontal command bar in it, it's going to have to be able to hold 3 commands lengthwise. So it'll be, well, maybe 2. Buy bond, so buy or cancel. So maybe just 2. But then we have the 3 that go across, or maybe we could do all 3 centered in there. How do we want to show this stuff? Let's just put them all across horizontal, and we'll deal with it from there. So the bond amount. So the amount you buy. Well, maybe we'll do it 2 rows because we'll have the starting cost, the what you get when it matures, the interest rate, and then the hours to mature. So it'll be 2 rows of 2 plus the 2 options. That'll make it a little bit more equal. So we probably want to do maybe 450 to 500, somewhere in there. We'll go let's go 475. We'll split the difference. Const win height. Now this is going to be the height of the bank details window. Well, first graphics dot height minus then this underscore bank details window dot height, and then minus maybe an extra 30 or 40. Const when x equals 0. So I'm going to start on the far side. Const when y. Now when y is going to be this dot underscore height plus say 10 or 20 to get some space in between there. Next, this dot underscore bond details window equals new window bond details by bond details. Do we want to create this just for buy, or do we want to use it for sell as well? Because if we could do that, we can reduce the amount of code we need. We would just have to like maybe pass through a Boolean flag or something to say that it's buying or selling, or maybe pass through a string that says buy or sell, and then based on that create a flag or something. We'll see. We'll call it buy bond, and then we can change it later if we need to. So create new window, XY width height, and bank, I guess, because we still need to have the bank there to update the bank bonds list. Then bond details window dot set handler. So okay, which will be this dot buy bond dot bind this, and this underscore bond details window dot set handler cancel this dot cancel by bond. I think we have to do a select on this so that we can select, have it be selected instead of the and then we go this done underscore bond wind dot deselect. Deselect doesn't want in there, huh? Should we don't have any more selects? So select it was silked. Or however you want to know. Seal with a CT on the end of it. Okay, so let's go refresh maybe so we can actually add the text to it. Let me see if we can actually load this up. See if there are any issues. Oh, we got something here. What do we got? Window bond window is not defined. Window bond. I think it's talking about down here. Or is it just bond, buy bond? What did I use for that? Yeah, buy bond. Okay. Make sure we didn't screw up the creation up here. Where are you? Scene bank, create window, withdraw, creates bond window, buy bond. Yeah, I didn't use the right one there. Okay. Save that. Right. There. Can't read property of show. What line is that on? 359. Oh. Because that's typoed. I was wondering why it was showing up with the window with just WD. It's because there was a typo. Okay, there's our bonds. Oh, that's right, it's double click to select it. Right. Okay, we don't even, well, yeah, see over there, it is cutting it off over there, as you can see. So we need to, crap. Yeah, we'll just need to, we won't use the help window, and we'll just have it be down here in a select window or something. Let me see. Can we do? Is there a way to do a multi-role help window? Let's check that out first. RPGMaker MV multi-line help window. Um, blah blah blah. Let's try help window text cut off. I wonder if we could just put like a new line in there, if it would work or not. Don't know if I've ever tried that. I didn't throw a crap fit. It also didn't do anything to the description though. Okay, so RN, maybe you have to do both. Oh, there we go. Awesome. It's kind of not lined up for some reason. Oh, I know why, because it's 2 spaces. Awesome, I didn't think that would work. So, buy bonds, cool. Now how many lines can you go? I don't think it'll like expand to increase for other lines. I mean, you can maybe expand the height of it, but I don't think it will automatically adjust. I could be wrong though. Nope, I'm definitely right on that. So if we wanted to have 3 lines, so maybe we don't need to have. Maybe we still need this, but we still need the other one too, I think, basically. Because it has the more detailed information. I think these get cut off anyway because they're too long. Oh no, that works good. They almost don't fit, but they do fit. Still, alright. So that works, cool. Alright. Very good. Now that we get that sorted, what were we working on? The we could probably go even more on that, to be honest, on the details window, because there's still a whole bunch of room here. That could be used, or we could have space in between them still. More space in between them. We'll figure that out when we need to. For right now, we'll leave it as it is. Create bond window. Okay, so on bond OK. This is going to be different now. This would actually be for, say, the other window here, for the buy bond window. Scene, or buy bond OK. Scene bank dot prototype. So buy bond equals function. Okay. And actually, we probably don't need to pass the bank through here because we're not going to be needing to use any of that stuff in there. It'll have to be used over here where we'll actually do the processing on the taking out the current gold and then adding the bond to the bank. Also, what we'll need to do on that's true. Well, we can add that later. Just need to make a mental note to add the bond listing on the bank details. Alright, so, bond OK, cancel, buy bond. So, what we would do with this then is we would say, obviously it's not going to be that window anymore. It'll be this one. So hide and deactivate. We don't want to show this though. We want to do this bond window dot select. So let's basically send us back out to the bond window over here. But on the cancel buy bond, we will want to do that as well. Okay, so on bond OK, this dot create bond detail wind. This underscore bond window or bond detail window dot show. This underscore bond detail windows dot activate score Okay. So now back down here to the bond window. So that's pretty much done, I think. So window bond it's actually called something else, isn't it? Buy bond detail or something. Yeah. Alright, so dot prototype dot I'll just dot prototype. Alright. Equals object dot create window selectable dot prototype dot constructor. Okay. Dot call or apply. Dot call. I think you can use either actually. Call or so XY with height. List underscore BNK equals BNK. Now, based on the select, actually, we do need to pass that through too, don't we? Bond selected, or BND selected, I guess we'll say, so we don't think it's a. Don't confuse it with a. Boolean variable. So we want to go to scene bond okay, bond detail window bank, and then this dot underscore bond window dot get selected action. Pass through a string, which will be equal to one of these. I'll just grab my list here. Maybe later versions of this will actually have an object to pass through, a bond object to pass through. We'll build it in the well, let's just do that now, actually. Probably would be best, actually, to do it just now. Okay, so, we're not up high enough yet. On scene, bond okay. Alright. So, if this dot underscore bond window dot get selected action equals basic bond 10. So, sure, I guess we need to also have the bond has to, we have to have the name of the bond too, I suppose. So, bond name is basic bond 10. Or just the selected action or whatever we're going to use later on for that. So the price will be 4,500. The mature value will be whatever that is. So these are 10%. Our basic bonds are 12. And the calculator's not open. I think I said calculator. Calculator. Though calculators would be nice too. So 4,500 times 0.12. So 400. Okay, so basically, 50/40 would be the mature price value, whatever. Then the time to mature, which was 10 hours for the first one. Okay, I think that's good. We should probably also do the purchase date. So date.now, because we need to be able to tell when it was bought, so we can tell when 10 hours has passed. Because what could happen is if you don't wait 10 hours before looking, for going to a bank, then it will, when you leave, it'll set the last access to the, whatever time or date it is then you have to wait another 10 hours. So we want to have a date to track when the bond was bought, and then so we don't have to rely on the access time. So we'll do that. So we need to create a new function in SceneBank. Prototype dot create bond. We'll also need to. Well, we'll have the bank access. We'll have access to the bank. Just fine. Through the other one. So we need to have. Actually, we do need to create a bond object that we can store this into. There, bond equals this. Bond ID. Do we need to store the bond ID? Probably. Okay, so so I have everything here. So we need the bond name, the bond cost, bond M value, and then the bond purchase date. And since bond is its own object, we can just use it that way. We do need to add some more stuff here, though. So M time, value, cost. Do we need to store? Well, yeah, we need to store the cost, I guess, too. Not for functionally when we sell it, but for when we're buying it. So B cost. Value, time to mature, and then also then B purchase time. Called PR time. So mature value, this underscore bonds BID. Name equals B name. Matured value, mature time, and then this bonds ID. Purchase date equals BPR date. All right. Okay, so then we say bond equals Okay, so we have, so bonds is like banks. It has a bunch of different things in it. Just wondering if we should break this down further. So have bonds be a list of bond objects, and have bond be its own thing with these defined in it. Or if that would be too complex for the saving and loading. We'll go with this, and when we're accessing for the details, we'll just use 0 because that's what the ID should be. And we'll always overwrite the ID. So we'll call it bond, and then we'll use a different one, bonds, to store the bonds for the bank. We'll call it bank bonds, actually. That's how we'll determine them, differentiate them, bank bonds. So we'll store this detail in the bond, and then if the bond is bought, we'll take the bond and just shove it in the bonds, bank bonds list. Obviously, we'll also increase the ID based on the size of the bank bonds list. Okay. So we were at that function we were creating, yeah. So bond equals bank bonds dot new bond, or add bond. So bond name, bond ID. So and then BND P date. That should really be BND, and this should be BND. Just to continue the naming convention. So bond now will equal bank bonds dot add new bond, or dot add bond. Let's see. So bank becomes a bank. Bonds. Okay, so one difference here is that banks, game banks is basically related to a global variable which stores all that stuff and we can pull it from it. Bank bonds, on the other hand, is something else entirely. So maybe what we do is we do make this a single entity instead of being this way. We say that banks bank bonds is already being initialized there. So I mean, because having it done the way it's done makes it easy because we just throw it into bonds. We just throw it into the bonds. It's called a parameter or key or something. If we're going to break them down into just single individual bonds, then we'd have to make a bonds variable that would hold them instead. I guess that's doable, I guess, yeah. Bonds. Oh, we actually already have that. We have bank bonds. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that could work. So instead of banks, or well, not that one. Instead of bonds, we'd have a parameter for each of these. So name equals underscore name. So name, cost. Well, let's actually also add one for ID then. Because we're going to have to take this and build it into a key value pair in bank bonds. So we'll need the ID. So name, cost, ID, name, cost, matured value. Mature time, and then the purchase date. Okay. So I think we need to initialize those. So ID equals 0. Just underscore name equals that. Just underscore cost equals 0. Just underscore matured value equals 0. Underscore mature time equals 0. And then this underscore purchase date equals date dot parse 0. So instead of saying bank bonds too, this is just going to be, we're just going to call it bonds. Or bond, singular bond. Stores, bond, details. Okay, so we'll need to change this wherever it's at. Just bond. We don't need to remove bond because that's no longer what that's going to be for. That'll probably be a function of banks instead now. Same thing with get bond. Actually, let's just do that. Move them up to get game banks instead. So set m value, set name. So name, cost, matured value, mature time. And bond.prototype.set PR date equals function BP date. This purchase date equals BPR date. Okay. Oh, and the ID too. We need to do that. Okay. So, create bond, blah, 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 blah. So we'll create a blank and then, basically we'll initialize it as a bond object and then call add bond with all the information we need. So bond I guess we could just say var bond. Var bond. Bond dot add bond. I'm gonna call it create bond because we're not adding a bond anymore. We're creating it, setting the values up for it. So that should also change. If I can, find out where we need to go. Bond, here we go. So add, it becomes create. And this becomes BND instead of bond, so we're not, well, actually it could be bond now, couldn't it? Which I think I actually left it as that, so, no I didn't. Fix that. Bond equals new bond. Bond, create bond. Alright. And we don't want to re-establish it, we just need to say bond. Otherwise the one up there won't get sent. So, this dot create bond. So the name, the ID, so this would be bond, or is it bond ID? Plus 1. So whatever the bond ID is, plus 1. Better yet, let's do it this way. Bond ID plus equals 1. That way, we'll increment the bond ID as we create new bonds. And if we choose to cancel them, we can decrement it so that we don't aren't creating bonds that aren't actually there, aren't actually bought. So bond ID, bond name, the cost, the mature value, the time, and the date. Very well. Very good. Rather. So I have to do one of these for all of these. So else if. Actually, I think I'll take a break right now, and then do some more of this on my own, and then we'll come back maybe a little bit later, or maybe not. I don't know. It depends on how long it takes me to wash the car. So I may not do any more streaming for this tonight. The next stream, I think probably that's what we'll do. The next stream will be for Star Ocean. I'll do some streaming for this tomorrow, maybe. Maybe not. Depends. So, let's see. So the streaming, so it might be Monday when I start streaming this, because what I'm gonna try and do is I'm gonna try and stream every day, every weekday at 7 o'clock. Do some streaming at that point. So I think that'll probably be when this will happen next. The next stream for this. So this is probably a good place to stop right now, because what's going to need to happen from here on is just a lot of coding, and that's kind of boring to watch. So thanks for watching the stream. If you did, if you are watching on YouTube afterwards, comments, questions, leave them below. If you haven't done so already, would appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel, and I will see you probably in another 3 or 4 hours for the SO3 stream. And that's mostly just going to be grinding and things. Grinding and crafting, because I need to get stronger to fight Luther. So, I will see you then.